Real people, real confessions, the stories you weren't supposed to hear. Welcome to Beyond Reddit Stories. I used to think I knew exactly who I was. My name, my parents, my story. It was simple, unshakable. Or at least, that's what I believed for the first 26 years of my life. It all started on a rainy Tuesday evening. We were having one of those ordinary family dinners, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, my dad telling the same joke he'd told 100 times. But then my aunt, who'd had a couple of glasses of wine, looked at me across the table and said, "You know, you've always looked different." Not in a bad way, just not like any of us. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile, but something in her tone lodged itself in my brain like a splinter. The rest of the night, I couldn't stop replaying her words. I thought about my dark hair against my mom's honey blonde, my hazel eyes next to my dad's deep blue. Little comments over the years suddenly lined up in my mind like puzzle pieces I'd never bothered to put together. And then there was this moment I caught my mom watching me, not in the normal pass the peas way, but with this flicker of worry, almost like she'd been caught doing something she shouldn't. That's when the unease started. That's when the questions began. I didn't know it yet, but a single decision, a completely harmless choice was about to take that splinter of doubt and rip my entire life wide open. Before all of this, my life was steady, predictable in the best way. I grew up in a small suburban neighborhood where everyone knew each other's business, or at least, they thought they did. My parents were the kind of people neighbors trusted with their spare keys. My mom made the best cinnamon rolls on the block, and my dad coached Little League, even though I was absolutely terrible at baseball. We had our routines. Saturday mornings meant pancakes. Sundays were for church, followed by grocery shopping and my mom's habit of accidentally buying me candy. Birthdays were a big deal: balloons, cake, way too many presents. If you'd asked me back then, I would have told you my childhood was close to perfect. Sure, there were odd little moments I couldn't quite explain, like how every time we went through old family albums, there was this gap: no baby pictures of me younger than 6 months. My mom would laugh it off, saying, "Oh, we were terrible at taking photos back then." Or how certain relatives would tilt their heads when they looked at me, almost studying my face before changing the subject. I never pressed them. Why would I? They were my family, my world. Looking back now, I realize how many tiny cracks were already there. I just didn't want to see them. It all started so casually. A coworker of mine had just gotten his DNA ancestry results back and was showing everyone at the office. He was laughing about finding out he was 2% Viking and suddenly obsessed with eating smoked fish. He turned to me and said, "You should try it. It's fun. You learn all this cool stuff about where your family came from." I didn't have a reason to say no. My family tree was boringly straightforward, according to every story I'd ever been told. English and Irish on my dad's side, a little German from my mom's. I figured, why not? It might give me something interesting to talk about at the next family gathering. I ordered the kit, spit in the tube, mailed it back, didn't think about it again for weeks. Then, one Sunday morning, the email came, "Your DNA results are ready." I clicked, the page loaded, and my heart stuttered. Right at the top, under close family matches, there was nothing. No parents, no cousins I recognized, no names I'd ever heard in my life. Instead, there were 2 first cousin matches I didn't know and a long list of strangers who apparently shared my blood. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I refreshed the page, logged out, logged back in, still the same. Then I looked at the ancestry breakdown. The countries listed weren't even close to what my parents had always told me. Entire regions appeared that I'd never heard mentioned in my family's history. That was the first time I felt my stomach twist, a deep, sinking feeling that something was very, very wrong. I called my mom right away. I tried to keep my voice casual, but I could hear the tightness creeping in. "Hey, so I did one of those DNA tests, and, the results are kind of weird. Can we talk about it?" There was a pause, a long one, and when she finally spoke, her voice was softer than I'd ever heard it. "Sweetheart, maybe we should wait until you come over." That's when I knew she was hiding something. I drove to my parents' house that evening with my mind spinning. The entire drive felt like I was heading toward the edge of a cliff. When I walked in, my dad was sitting at the kitchen table, Hands clasped so tightly, his knuckles were white. My mom stood by the sink, staring at a mug of tea she wasn't drinking. No one said anything at first. The air was thick, like we were all waiting for someone else to make the first move. Finally, I broke the silence. Just tell me the truth, whatever it is, please. My mom's eyes filled instantly. She glanced at my dad. He nodded. You were adopted, she said, her voice trembling. We brought you home when you were 3 months old. We were going to tell you, but every time we tried, we couldn't. We didn't want you to feel unwanted. You are our child in every way that matters. The words hit me like a punch. Adopted, 3 months old, a whole history I never knew existed. But then my dad spoke, and it got worse. There's more, he said quietly. Your birth mother, she's family. She's my cousin's daughter. There were problems. She was young, in trouble. Her parents wanted it kept quiet. We agreed to raise you as our own. My head was spinning. It wasn't just a hidden adoption, it was a tangled knot of family secrets, shame, and silence that had been kept from me my entire life. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to walk out and never look back. But another part, the smallest part, just felt an overwhelming sadness for everyone involved. After hours of talking, crying, and sitting in heavy silence, I made my decision. I needed to find her, my birth mother. My parents didn't want me to. They said it might open old wounds, that I might get hurt, but I couldn't live with this half-truth anymore. So I started digging. I reached out to distant relatives, searched online, combed through social media. Weeks passed, leads went cold. Then, one night, I got a message. A woman claiming to be my birth mother. She wanted to meet. We agreed to meet at a small cafe just outside the city. I arrived early, my hands wrapped so tightly around my coffee cup that it had gone cold. Every time the door opened, my heart jumped. And then she walked in. She looked nervous, almost fragile, but her eyes hazel, like mine, locked onto me instantly. For a moment, neither of us spoke. We just stared, as if trying to memorize each other's faces. Then she whispered, "Hi," and I felt something inside me break open. We talked for hours. She told me she'd been just 17 when she had me, and her family had decided what was best. She cried when she said she'd wanted to keep me, but she had no power back then. Hearing her story didn't erase the pain. It didn't magically fix the years of silence, but it gave me something I didn't even realize I'd been missing: context. A sense of where I came from, beyond just names on a birth certificate. In the weeks that followed, I introduced her slowly to my adoptive parents. It wasn't easy. There were awkward moments, unspoken tensions, but there was also a strange kind of healing. For the first time in my life, I knew my whole story, the good, the bad, the messy parts in between, and somehow, that made me feel stronger. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: the truth might shatter the life you thought you had, but it can also build a new one, stronger and more honest than before. So I'll leave you with a question: if someone you love was keeping a secret this big, would you want to know? That's my story. It wasn't easy to tell, and it definitely wasn't easy to live. But if sharing it helps even one person feel less alone in their own search for the truth, then it's worth it. I know some of you have been through something similar, maybe not adoption, maybe a different kind of family secret. If you feel ready, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Sometimes, putting it into words is the first step toward making peace with it. And if this video made you think, or made you feel something, consider subscribing. This channel is where I share real stories, the kind that aren't always pretty, but they're always real. It's the support from you that keeps these stories alive. Thank you for listening. And for those still searching for answers, I hope you find them.